So not too long ago in a video I shared with you that I was accused of making up trauma and that trauma isn't real. So I thought, what better thing to do than to actually define what trauma is for those of you who don't know. So let's learn together today. So what is trauma? Let's put a definition to it. The most important thing that I need you to remember is that trauma is an experience, not a diagnosis. And that makes sense, right? Trauma is not a diagnosis, but if you leave your trauma unresolved, chances are you're gonna get a diagnosis for something else that came from it. For example, anxiety, sleep disorders, depression. Now, a lot of times when we think about what exactly trauma is, we tend to go back and think about kids who are experiencing either extreme poverty or abuse or neglect or things like that. There's a huge variety of things that can be considered trauma, like a death in the family, discrimination, even divorce. It all just depends on how your brain handles it. Now, the next thing that you need to know is that there are 3 different levels of trauma. And just like if you were to go into an emergency room, those 3 levels kind of help categorize how much care you're going to need to resolve your trauma. I will break down each of those traumas in some upcoming videos so that we can continue this learning process, but I also want you to know that the most important mind shift that you can make is from asking what's wrong with a child to what happened to a child. Oprah Winfrey's book, What Happened to You, is an incredible resource for helping to shift that mindset also. So up next, we're going to define those 3 levels of trauma and how we can start building resiliency in kids, but I want to know, what are your questions about trauma?